Welcome, climate viewers. This is Jim Lee from Climate Viewer News at climateviewer.com. And we've talked a long time on this channel about soot and chemtrails and even graphene. But is there really somebody controlling the grids in the sky? And where's the graphene coming from? We're going to dig into that. And I'm going to give you all the receipts. They're available in the details below. Just check them out. And if you're new to the channel, you're watching this anywhere else, as of now, I'm still streaming live on @ClimateViewer on YouTube. Please come over, hit that subscribe button if you want to be part of the live chat every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern. And remember that everything I do is open source and free of charge. So please support the channel by going to connect.climateviewer.com, where you can also find all my socials and all of that stuff. What do we have here? So let's get into it. I want to kind of break this down for you real quick. We're going to do a little bit of science before we get into the nuts and butts of, stuff like artificial intelligence helping route flights, because, having Google route flights with AI, So in the past, we've talked about carbon black versus black carbon. And I think that a lot of people get stuck on this big time, because there are a lot of people out there who would say, Jim Lee is just a shill, and he says it's all just pollution. But clearly you don't know me that well, or possibly you're new to the channel. So let me break this down for you as clearly as redneck can. Carbon black, military. Black carbon, soot, pollution. Carbon black, manufactured. Black carbon, pollution. Carbon black, used by the United States Air Force and United States Naval Weapons Lab at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in China Lake, California. Freedom of Information Act request available on the Weather Modification History timeline. You can find it on the menu on climateviewer.com. So just go to the menu, go to the Weather Modification History, hit the interactive timeline, click Weather Warfare, and you can read all about the military and using carbon black. However, black carbon is the pollution from burning jet fuel, and guess what's in it? Not just soot, because black carbon and soot can be used interchangeably. And some people really screw it up, and they say carbon black, black carbon are all interchangeable with soot. That is not true. So what's the distinct differences here? Major class of elemental carbon containing particles have distinct properties. Despite similar names, carbon black should not be confused with black carbon. Carbon black is distinguished by a high elemental carbon content and well-controlled properties. Black carbon particles are characterized by their heterogeneous, I always wonder how, heterogeneous, I'm going to say heterogeneous, meaning multiple different things mixed in there, not homogeneous. Homogeneous would be just one thing in there. Anyway, heterogeneous properties. Carbon black is not a model particle representative of engineered nanoparticles. Okay, there's a lot there. But introduction, carbon black is a manufactured product that has been in commerce for over a century. In fact, one of the earliest newspaper articles we have on carbon black creating clouds was Dr. Florence Van Straten in 1958 did a U.S. Navy experiment where she used carbon black dust to create contrails / cirrus clouds and to destroy those same clouds. So the United States Navy, at the very least, since 1958 has been using carbon black dust to make clouds. The military always, in every document I've read, goes back to carbon dust. Just being clear. And can I get a mic check in the chat room? Just let me know. I got a couple complaints over the last 3 videos. Third video was bad. Next video was okay. Last video was bad again. I think I've got it all hammered out. I literally unplugged everything and went through every setting, and it should be good today. I think it should be not clipping like it was before. Awesome. Thank you, up in CT. 5x5. That's what I like to see. Beautiful. I reconnected my cloud lifter today. So, despite all the smart asses on the internet saying I didn't need to spend that extra $150 for a, 30 decibel gain on my microphone, they can all suck it because it sounds so much better. I've actually got the volume turned down because if I turn it all the way up, I could literally peak this biatch out. Anyway, thank you guys. So its single largest use is in a reinforcing agent in vehicle, tires, and rubber automotive products, while other common everyday products that often contain carbon black include inks, paints, plastics, and coatings. The toner in your laser jet is carbon black. Just saying. So it is a manufactured chemical. Let's just put it that way. It is manufactured by either partial combustion of thermal decomposition or gaseous liquid hydrocarbons under controlled conditions optimized to yield a variety of carbon black grades having specified ranges of properties, e.g. specific surface area, particle size and structure, conductivity, and color. So you can engineer carbon black to make what you want it to do. All right? But as discussed, blah, 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 the term carbon black and soot have often been used interchangeably, despite the fact that soot, by definition, is an undesired byproduct of incomplete combustion of fossil fuels and biomass. I hate the term fossil fuels. Another video. We've already been over that. Same people demonstrated that carbon black and soot are physically and chemically distinct substances. Carbon black is simply a quasi-graphitic form of nearly pure carbon that is distinguished by very low quantities of extractable organic compounds and total inorganics. In addition, carbon black has a characteristic particle morphology that consists of an aciniform, grape-like aggregates of highly fused spherical primary particles. All right, it's getting way too nerdy for most people. I'm just going to go to the PowerPoint presentation that I made for everybody to try to understand this very simply. And if you want to get sciencey, this is the place to do it. Carbon black dust, the chemtrail secret for weather warfare, geoengineering, and ozone destruction. I made a PowerPoint presentation on this. You can watch the video right here, or you can see right here on slide 3, and I'll make that full screen real quick. Carbon black and soot have been used interchangeably. However, I made this, what's the date on this? 2018, okay? And I believe this is even older than that. This is probably older than that. What the hell? Boy, where is the date on this? Yeah, 2013. So, yeah, people have been screwing this up for quite a while. But I explained that carbon black is definitely, what the military wants to use, military versus soot, which is what we're usually talking about coming out of airplanes, okay? This stuff's important. If you don't understand it, you're not going to understand the rest of the video. So wrap your head around it. I do not just say that pollution is the only thing going on here. I focus on it because it's one of those things that nobody talks about. Okay? Nobody talks about it. But I'm gonna scroll through this really quickly because I want to show you, and I'm pretty sure it's in here. Right there. Navy scientists create clouds, break them up. Say thank you to Storm Fury 101 in chat. That is my brother from another mother, Dominic Marama. Made these beautiful newspaper articles for weather modification history on climateviewer.com. You can see all of those. And that is Dr. Florence Van Straten right there. We dropped carbon black suspended in a liquid over a track a mile long and produced a solid line of clouds 1 mile long. Dr. Van Straten told a reporter. When we drop 1.5 pound dry packages of carbon black, we produce single clouds with each drop. The Navy team seeded 7 clouds with carbon and dissipated each of them in from 2.5 to 20 minutes. Each cloud turned gray and then rapidly disappeared. Aside from the cost of the airplanes, we spent less than $5 on the experiments in Georgia. September 23rd, 1958. Also from the Florence Times, same day, same year. Navy creation destroys clouds. Ordinary carbon black is used. So it's been around a long time. The military uses it. They love it, because weather control, right? To determine the world's cloud layer, as they say. Pretty popular one. Anyway, let me see if I can get to this other one real fast. And then we have all the redacted reports from the military on the use of carbon black. Weather modification using carbon black. Phillips Laboratory, Geophysics Directorate Technical. This is from the United States Air Force Freedom of Information Act request, and one from the Navy. Same thing, carbon black. Carbon black is the weather weapon of choice. Still don't believe me? It was mentioned in Owning the Weather in 2025. Carbon black dust, 2005. STAR, technologies to be developed by the Department of Defense. I mean, just saying. And if you thought that Owning the Weather in 2025 was BS, Dr. Arnold J. Barnes Jr. at the Test Technology Symposium 97 had this to say. Well, weather modification using carbon black. Why? To make it rain, to make a drought, or increase cirrus cloud cover, deny visual satellite or high altitude reconnaissance, decrease light level for nighttime operations. Oh, well, why would they do? Because they want to block out spy satellites so that they can't see what's going on. That's what Dr. Arnold J. Barnes said in 1997 at a joint Air Force Army meeting. This is a PowerPoint from army.mil that I got off of the Wayback Machine. It has been deleted. So yeah, you can read all that yourself. It's there. But let's get back to black carbon, because black carbon is the soot side of things. And tonight we're going to be talking about the grids in the sky and the soot side of things. So we're going to be focusing on black carbon, not carbon black. Just want to make that clear up front. Now that we're all on the same page, thank you very much. Let's get to it. Make this go away and, oh, hell. Why you want to do me like that? Let's just go back up to the part where it says graphene. Air traffic is estimated to increase more than twofold in revenue passenger kilometers in the next 20 years. The potential impact of aviation emissions on public health and environment and climate have attracted more and more attention. On the ground, ultrafine particles less than 100 nanometers from aircrafts significantly increase the particle number concentration near airports. Toxicological studies showed that there's strong evidence that the particle size, shape, surface, and surface properties affect the particle's toxicity. The emitted black carbon particles, which are agglomerates of nearly spherical primary particles, mainly composed of graphene laminae. What does the word laminae mean? You might be asking. It means a fine covering, a wrapping. If you the F and F just happened because I know I just hit search. Boop. Laminae, a thin layer, a membrane. Okay, this is how I solve all my problems when I'm studying these things. You don't understand a word, you go look it out, up, you go back, and you say, okay. So let me get this straight. Black carbon soot is primary spherical, so it's a sphere, round, and it's got a membrane of graphene. Well, that changes everything now, doesn't it? Because I've been talking about, soot emissions and black carbon emissions from planes and the metals contained therein. What metals, you may be asking? Oh, these metals, they're all inside of it. So when they say agglomerates, they mean that black carbon mixed with all these metals and wafer it with a membrane, a outer layer of graphene. So it's a little graphene bomb for your body that is filled with black carbon and all of these nanoparticle metals. I wonder why people are dying around airports. But let's go back to what they actually say about this. These black carbon particles, which are spherical, that are wrapped in graphene, absorb sunlight. Right here we are. I'll make it a little bigger. Absorb sunlight and may also increase cirrus cloudiness. Oh wait, cirrus clouds matter? And modify the optical thickness of already existing cirrus clouds. It makes the clouds thicker. The aviation emissions mainly occur in the upper troposphere and lowermost stratosphere, where high altitude clouds influence global climate by trapping outgoing long wave radiation and reflect solar wave radiation. Cue that infographic that Jim Lee made for you. Beautiful. So this is solar radiation management blocking shortwave radiation coming in from these clouds, which are made of black carbon wrapped graphene filled with metals that float into the stratosphere, and make cirrus clouds, ice clouds that reflect sunlight, and that they also trap heat at the ground, outgoing long wave radiation, which is dubbed Earth radiation management, which they've come up with a whole new term, cirrus cloud thinning or cirrus cloud seeding, to melt those clouds away. That is not the only thing that they have talked about. They've talked about engineering when the grid appears. This is the intent part of geoengineering. This is the part that everybody refuses to believe. Everybody, meaning any one of you bastards out there who has a PhD, who's ever tried to mock somebody for bringing up the C word. And I'm not talking about Cirrus. I'm saying if somebody's ever gone to any Federal Aviation Administration or any scientists and the experts, nice, thank you, chat. Them experts will totally ignore you if you bring this up. The obvious, that there's something shady going on here, and I think people are intentionally controlling this. Tonight, I'm going to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that intent is real and how it works. So, by saying that, well, back in 2001, they grounded all flights because, Twin Towers. We noticed that the change in the diurnal temperature range happened, and that means that there is some global warming caused by, the clouds at night trapping heat at the ground. So, as Dr. Rangasai Halthori said, we would like to have more contrail-induced cirrus clouds by day and none during the night. Ulrich Schumann, in the PowerPoint presentation I'm about to show you, he also, at this ICAO colloquium on aviation and climate change in 2010, said, we want less warming and more cooling contrails, predictable for operational planning. Right here is the other paper that he put out. Now, if you haven't seen this name, Ulrich Schumann, and you want to know about this topic, go read everything he ever wrote, because I read a lot of it. And I'm going to tell you what, This is probably the top scientist on the planet who talks about contrails and aviation-induced cloudiness and contrail-induced cirrus clouds and yada, yada, yada. He works for Germany's DLR, which is officially like their NASA. And he wrote this presentation, Climate Optimized Routing of Flights. All right. Now, what he's actually talking about here is predicting when contrails are going to fan out and blanket the sky and create cirrus clouds. And if they're going to have a warming effect, then we need to avoid making those clouds. But if they're going to cool the planet, those clouds are good. Let's keep those clouds. We like those clouds. Less warming, more cooling contrails. Ulrich Schumann. Predictable for operational planning. Well, how the hell are you going to predict them, Ulrich? How about you create something called the Contrail Cirrus Simulation and Prediction Tool, COSIP. That's right. This is from 2010. So this is an example of using observation plus computer models to predict when contrails occur and figure out what their climate effect will be, and if it will cool the planet, hopefully they get to keep those clouds, and if it doesn't, then avoid making those clouds. This is about to get deep today. I can promise you that. We're about to go real deep today because something just happened. So that's why you see things like Google using AI to help, I believe it was United Airlines. I did a video on this just recently. If you want to watch the entire video on Google AI controlling contrails. But Google's helping pilots route flights to create fewer contrails, which is better for the climate. This is August 9th, 2023. I've been talking about this since 2015, about all of these plans to use biofuels and climate optimized routing of flights. And, back then, most people don't want to hear it. Now it's like becoming mainstream. This is TheVerge.com for freak's sake. Those streaks planes leave in the sky are making global warming worse. Could this be a way to prevent them? Google has been working with American Airlines and, wait for it, Bill Gates Climate Investment Fund. You cannot make this stuff up, people. Google has been working with American Airlines and Bill Gates Climate Investment Fund, Breakthrough Energy, to chart a more sustainable flight routes. The aim is to help pilots limit a flight's impact on the climate by avoiding routes that create contrails. Those white streaks in the sky that piss everybody off that's watching this video right now. Doesn't say that there. Just, full disclosure. I just got to let you know. Contrails are a big problem for the planet because they trap heat, accounting for about 35% of aviation's global warming impact. These numbers completely made up. 86.2% of statistics are made up on the spot. Just that's a fact. A scientific, provable fact. Using satellite imagery and artificial intelligence, they developed a way to forecast where the contrails are most likely to form that could give pilots a chance to avoid them and minimize aviation's environment footprint in the process. Contrary to what conspiracy theorists say, the streaks behind are not chemtrails, but condensation trails. Contrails, for short, are basically human-made clouds. That kind of triggering to me, because this is the most common brush away I hear from these smart asses who write these articles. It's just a condensation trail. So I want to teach you guys today, right now, how to deal with this smart assery right now. This is what I call a climate viewer tangent. A Jim Lee brain fart tangent. So we're going to go over to the artificial clouds page, which is available at climateviewer.com/cirrus clouds matter. And if you just scroll down right here, that PowerPoint I showed you, I've got a real sciencey version here. But if you're like me and you're a redneck and you just want to keep it simple, stupid, I made a redneck version right here, Chemtrails for Dummies. So you can watch that about plane farts and geoengineering, and I explain it in very simple terminology. But anyway, we're going to skip past this part. We're going to go right here. Introduction, how language controls the chemtrail debate. And this is really what it's all about. They say it's just a condensation trail. Contrails are just condensation. Go back to that. And I put this on here. And this is, I want you to try this on the next person who tries to debunk you when they deal with you using the C word. I want you to say this. Contrails are just condensation. It's just harmless water vapor. Response. Condensating on what? And because you're going to be asking them the question, you should probably know the answer. The answer is cloud seeds or aerosols like soot and metal nanoparticles. This matters a lot. So, back to the very beginning of the video. What are contrails? It's not just, as they put it, water vapor, condensation trails. It's just a human-made cloud. Well, I mean, technically, jackass, I said that because I said chemtrails, contrails, persistent contrails, spreading contrails, contrail cirrus, contrail-induced cirrus, contrail-induced cloudiness, aviation-induced cloudiness, aviation-induced cirrus, induced cirrus cloudiness, man-made clouds. Oh, is that what's in the article? Man-made clouds? And then artificial clouds. Artificial means man-made. It's the simplest form. Boom. Semantics, mother. All right, that's what I'm gonna say about that. So at the end of the day, they want to use language to control this debate. You cannot allow them to do this. So you need to condensating on what? Because it cannot condense on itself. Water does not just condense on itself. That is not how clouds are made. Clouds have a seed or a nuclei in the middle, and they always require three things. What three things, you ask? Water vapor, a cloud seed, ionization, static, to make 1 and 2 stick together. So even in the jet exhaust, there's something called chemiions. There's ionization processes. That is how, in the high temperature, that all of these things combined are why soot, which is carbon, is magically wrapped in graphene because of the chemical changes that happen to it burned at high altitude. Anyway, it's complicated. It's science, bitches. But at the end of the day, they want to just make it, it's just water vapor. It's just condensation. Calm down, Jim. I don't understand what the big deal is. If it wasn't such a big deal, then why is Bill Gates, Google, and their artificial intelligence trying to avoid making contrails at night? But they want to keep them during the day. Because, like when I had interviewed the head of the Federal Aviation Administration, he said very specifically, we want clouds by day, none by night. And that's why they want to melt them away. So it would be a great story if we just ended there. But it gets a little bit deeper. It gets deeper. It always does. Eurocontrol launches Contrail Net. This new network seeks to create a common repository of contrail observation data. November 7th, 2023. That's this month. So it's getting bigger. It's getting bigger. Eurocontrol, in collaboration with Airbus and Thales, seeks to set up Contrail Net, a network of European research experts to create a common repository of contrail observation data to advance the aviation sector's effort to reduce the climate impact of non-CO2 emissions, aviation emissions, in particular contrails and nitrogen oxides. So this is another term you're going to hear a lot, is non-CO2 aviation emissions. All right. And that just is a blanket term for, we want to focus on not just CO2, because if we let that narrative go, we'll lose all the money we're making off all the morons who believe the CO2 narrative. But we really got to focus on the clouds now. Even though in 2015, when I went to the EPA, I was thoroughly mocked by like 3 different NGOs, non-governmental organizations, particularly Sierra Group. And that prick, I said, hey man, what'd you think about the cloud thing? He's like, what cloud thing? I was like, the cloud thing, the thing I was talking about. He's like, oh, that's pure poppycock. And I was like, I'd sure like to pop you in your. And at that point, Max Bliss come and grabbed me and like physically pulled me back. But regardless, who's right now? So we'll leave it at that. It's a problem. And now they know it. And now they're admitting to it out in public. It's the thing. Okay. It's the thing. So why is this a big deal? Because they also, well, first of all, who is Eurocontrol? Eurocontrol is a pan-European civil military organization dedicated to supporting European aviation. Okay? I think when it says civil military organization, I think you get I think you get the point. We'll just leave it at that. So what is Eurocontrol up to? Oh, they just had a meeting. Sustainable Skies Conference. Contrails in focus. And boy, they had a whole lot of people talking about them chemtrails. And, I mean, you're crazy if you're talking about them. But if they have a conference, it's got to be serious, right? I mean, right? I could be wrong, but I think I'm right. I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments. So anyway, Eurocontrol, in collaboration with Kenzo, had this meeting. The global push for climate neutrality and sustainability. I already want to throw up in my mouth. I already want to throw up in my freaking mouth just even hearing those words. Climate neutrality and sustainability has put the spotlight on aviation industry's impact on, there it is again, non-CO2 emissions, with contrails and associated cirrus clouds coming under scrutiny. Bruh. I've been talking about this for 15 damn years. Are you they're at least getting around to it. I don't know. I don't even know what to say at this point. But it's a thing. It's a whole ass thing. It's not a half-ass thing. It happened. There's the agenda. I missed the boat. I'd have loved to have been on the Zoom call because I'd have been raising hell up in there. But regardless, you can still see all of the power. Their presentations are all downloadable. There's 2 different videos on it. Over the course of 2 days, world's leading experts took stock of current state of knowledge of the topic, explore the state-of-the-art methods for detecting and monitoring contrails and cirrus clouds, looked at current methods and technologies for predicting the formation of contrails and cirrus clouds and estimating their impact on the climate and their interdependencies with CO2. Discussed possible ways of minimalizing contrail formation and challenges of operationalizing mitigation measures at scale. Now, guys, I don't know about you, but that little sentence right there scares the hell out of me. The challenges of operationalizing mitigation measures at scale. Let me translate that for you. Coming up with a working geoengineering program. Not just willy-nilly making grids across the sky with their supercomputers that route all the flights. Going to get to that in just a second. But actually operationalizing. Like, that's exactly what Ulrich Schumann, reminder, it's right there in the bottom right corner. Less warming, more cooling contrails, predictable for operational planning. Predictable for operational planning. That's what they're saying, like right in your face. So anyway, if you want to write them, they're over in Belgium. But you can watch all of this on their YouTube channels. Day 1, day 2, very long videos, probably bore the crap out of 90% of you. But if you are so inclined, you can click these videos and watch these people come up and speak and give their presentations. And, you know, here's all the people who probably got on a jet to fly to Belgium. I mean, am I right? Am I right? You know, who thinks they all flew to Belgium, right? None of these guys are local, guaranteed. They all flew to this little meeting so that they could, you know, talk about. Is this a gallery? I'm almost scared to click it. I got sent to their Flickr page. Yeah, look at all these nubs. They're all so smart with their PhDs. I have a PhD. I got my PhD at Wally's Hardware. Post hole diggers. Just saying. My post hole diggers are much more useful than their piece of paper PhD. Just saying. Because I've known about this forever. Like, y'all could have come and asked me. I mean, damn. Am I right? I'm right. You don't have to answer that question. So down here at the bottom, you can see all of their white papers. You can download each one of them. What are contrails? Well, I mean, really? What are contrails? How do contrails impact Earth's climate? Interaction with long and short wave radiation fluxes made obvious by contrast. This is long wave contrast. This is heating. Why do we know that? Because it's freaking infrared. That's why it's black and white. It's infrared satellite footage because it's at night. This is during the day. Shortwave contrast, cooling. I mean, does that not just explain everything I just told you, like, really quick? Nighttime, heating. Daytime, cooling. I don't even need to show you the rest of this freaking PDF from that dude. But that's the very first paper. What are contrails? You can't make this stuff up. You can't. What are contrails? Contrails are clouds. Where are the contrails form and persist? ISSR characteristics. I've talked about this before. They're called ice supersaturated regions. I don't even need to read this shit. I'm not gonna read it. Does fuel composition make a difference? Yes. Okay. Yes, it makes a difference. My God. Anyway, so they've got all these, you know, real sciencey, oh, look, we got charts, we got more charts and all that stuff. We got charts for our plane farts and more charts and farts. So you can go and you can read all of these. There are a whole lot in here. I just picked 2 just as a sample. Just so you guys can get an idea. Contrail versus CO2 contrail avoidance challenges. And the list goes on. Detection and monitoring of contrails. Detecting contrails with the deep learning and GOES 16 ABI. And of course, that's the freaking, deep learning. That's code word for AI. In case y'all didn't know. So big list of stuff here. Scroll back up to the top, and when you go right here, you can click day 2, and bam, everything changes, and you have all of the PDFs from day 2. So every single one of the presentations that you see in these 2 videos, you can download them. You can learn a lot from them. I did not read them. Geoengineering Norway with a donation. I appreciate it. Lancelot Dufresne, thank you so much, brother. I really appreciate the super chats, guys. Thank you so much. As you might know, I'm a little bit heated today. Just a skosh. And it's not because of the contrails. It's because of the BS. But over here, This is a particularly interesting one. Non-CO2 emissions, which includes everything from black carbon to the graphene wrapping it to sulfuric acid and sulfur dioxide to all of the metals. What metals? Those metals I told you already. All of them metals, those are non-CO2 emissions. It's everything but CO2. They talk about it a lot. With a big fat chemtrail right there going up through my head. You can't make this stuff up. You really can't. But they talk about Eclipse 3 and Vulcan in-flight measurement campaigns. Now, I didn't even prepare this. I probably should have brought it up. You know what? I'll bring it up right now. Another one of my tangents. So we're going to go very tangential right now. And we'll just do this. Go back here. And we're going to go to the top. I'm going to hit up here. And we're going to go to the timeline. Or no. Yeah, we'll go to timeline. Interactive timeline. Weather modification history timeline. This is at climateviewer.com/interactive timeline. Link in chat. I just clicked my my Streamlabs and it was like, only subscribers may reply. I was like, what the? Anyway, that's why I have the chat up over here on the other screen, because otherwise I can't reply to you guys. Lancelot with another donation, man. You too sweet, bro. Appreciate it. Just saying. So over here on the weather modification timeline, see, that's Lancelot right there. I don't know. Did I not get an alert for the other two? What's that all about? Anyway, so let me just come over here and we're going to scroll down. We got all this section right here. If you show tags, you can click on artificial clouds, boom, and that gets rid of everything on the timeline except for people making them plane farts and things like that. Geoengineering in there, maybe HARP creating plasma clouds, but basically a tangent to the tangent side note. The reason why I have the website broke up into 3 categories: weather modification, geoengineering, and space weather modification. And then over to the side, I have artificial clouds, is because artificial clouds is in weather modification, space weather modification, and geoengineering. So keep that in mind. You have artificial clouds in all 3 categories. So I made it a tag. This is how I order things. This is how it works in my brain. Okay? So if you got plasma clouds, artificial ion clouds, and doing space weather modification using HARP and sounding rockets, you got ionization clouds, you got cloud seeding, you got people steering tropospheric rivers to create clouds. That's weather modification. Then you got noctilucent clouds, and you got these metal ice clouds and all that. That's geoengineering. So artificial clouds, all 3 categories. Just saying. Back to the thing. So right here is the biofuel enlisted for contrail control. And if you click on that one, this is not in the details, so chat specific links right here. We were just talking about this, because I saw this word right here, Eclipse 3. And I wanted you guys to know what the hell that is before I go any further. So in preparation, I try to throw as many links as I can in the details so that everybody has them, but you can't always prepare for, my tangents. Okay? It's just, I'm Southern. I take my time. I like to get into the details. I don't like somebody just filling my ass with fear porn and not really explaining why, where, what for, all the basic, W's. But anyway, if you scroll down here, you'll realize that there have been planes flying behind planes, sniffing plane farts for quite some time. And they've been doing this in the name of what's called biofuels for contrail control. Don't believe me? If you go to the reference section right here, you'll see Earthling Tech, biofuels enlisted for contrail control. Oh, wait, they deleted this. They deleted this article from the internet. It no longer exists. Too bad for them. I actually oh, they brought it back up. Well, I guess their website was having a bad day. Anyway, this is from 2013. This is from before I even went to the EPA hearing in 2015. This was part of my testimony. This is why I got in touch with Dr. Rangasai Authority, because they were using jet biofuels to control clouds, when they create them, when they don't. This is an important fact. So back to the thing, you can see that they were flying into those plane farts, and here's an actual shot of the plane in the action. He's gonna pull back on the stick, and he's gonna get a big whiff of, wait for it, he's gonna sniff that chemtrail fart right now. And as you can see right there on the charts, right here on the side, the particulate matter go up through the roof as they sniff. Oh, they're going to sniff another grape. So, the reason I showed you this video is to point out that people have been, while Dane Wigington and other people are saying, hey, we need to go up and, we need to get some money together, fly up there into the chemtrails and do the testing and all that, figure out what the hell's in there. All this shit is published. I mean, let's be real. I mean, let's just get real right now. Between the access flights, which was the alternative fuel effects on contrails and cruise emissions, the E-Cliff and the ND Max, which was the other set of experiments. I'm showing you the videos. So this actually, they're snorting lines in the sky, man. They're snorting lines in the sky. That chemtrail tastes excellent. They're burning different types of fuel. Fischer-Tropsch, HEFA, camelina plant, chicken fat to jet fuel, freaking landfill waste, like trash dump to jet fuel. You name it, they've thought of it. Why do you think Bill Gates is buying up so much farmland? It's not just to stop you from growing, buying meat and, eating cows and stuff. They're growing gasoline, biofuels. Look it up. So, back to the timeline. If you look right here, let me go back up and let's go. I'll type in ND-Max. And right here's the other one. The NASA DLR Multidisciplinary Airborne Experiments, Emissions and Climate Impact of Alternative Fuel. That's E-Cliff. Emission and Climate Impact of Alternative Fuel. Translation, biofuel. Translation, anything but freaking crude oil-based fuel. Alternative fuel. It's like the damn ethanol you get in your... This gasoline pump may contain 10% ethanol. Oh, you mean I'm getting some corn with my gas today? Appreciate you. So they did the same thing here. Planes, flying behind planes, sniffing plane farts to figure out, did they create less or more contrails? I'm going to give you a huge hint. I could see the it's right there. It didn't work. You didn't get rid of the cloud. Anyway, so yeah, they've been testing this for a while, and that's my own damn video. I'm not gonna show you my own damn video about my own damn video. But yeah, that's Graves' disease. Me, maybe little picking on myself, bruh. Did I look like shit or what? I mean, look at that dude. God dang, I was skinny. I mean, look at the difference, okay? Bro, I was skinny, like, I'm about to get myself canceled. I was about to say Ethiopian, but I guess that's not, I don't even know. People in Ethiopia might have food today. When I was growing up, that was a thing. But my point is, bro, if you go back and look at some of my old videos, you will not recognize it. This is the same guy that is right there. Because I was sick as a dog and my throat was blown up and they had to cut my thyroid out. Sometimes I look at it and like, whoa, damn, shit. So back to the story. So eClif 1, ND Max, they were doing the same thing as the Access program back in 2015. They were testing biofuels for contrail control. All this is a whole ass thing. So back to this. They're talking about eClif 3 and Vulcan. I haven't even heard of Vulcan until today, like literally. I had this bookmark for about a week now. It is a miracle, Diane. Thank you so much, Diane. It is. Oh no, I lost the inflation in my seat. It is a small miracle that I am alive today, let alone the fact that I've been 155 pounds for my entire life, like since I was 15, ranging from 155 to 160. I got down to 120 pounds during the height of my Graves' disease. I am now at a fluffy 180 pounds. Most of that's muscle though. Like, so don't judge me. I'm just saying. Because I'll find you. Won't be picking on boy. I'm not round. That's all I'm saying. But I have gained weight and it feels wonderful. I can fall off the couch without getting hurt. That's all I'm saying. I roll. You know? I just roll with it. So anyway, they're doing these experiments. And over here they give us the deets. And what do they say? The eClif 3, they're using these types of engines and planes. 9 flights, including 6 in contrail forming conditions. 3 different types of fuel. Jet A1, 31% HEFA blend, and 100% HEFA biofuel. All right? So that's eClif 3. Another chemtrail fart sniffing contest. They even showed them flying all over the damn place. Here's where all the Vulcan 21 flights, including 13 in contrail forming conditions, 4 different fuels. Jet A1, HEFA, 0%, 8%, 17% aromatics. Lean burn and forced rich burn combustion modes. Did you even know that was a thing? Because it's a thing. So this is what they're doing. While you're talking about it and you're complaining about it, they're just trying to figure out what type of fuel makes the right type of cloud that reflects sunlight but doesn't trap it at the ground, that they can control when it happens and get a outcome they like. Now, this would be great and all if it weren't, if it was just a European thing. Okay? If it was just Europe, coming up with all this stuff, here they write. I'll try to translate this. Should I translate this chart, or am I just being too much of a nerd? I mean, seriously. Maybe I'm being nerdy. But up here, soot rich, high, non-volatile particulate matter, soot poor, low non-volatile particulate matter, nucleated ice crystal number per kilogram of fuel. And as you can see, the higher you go on this chart, the more ice nuclei, or what them waters be condensating on. Because back to the thing we were talking about. Condensating on what? On soot. Filled with metals. Wrapped in graphene. And sulfuric acid. Oh, that makes acid rain. Anyway, so they have their little chart over here. And they show eClif 1, eClif 2, ND Max. I just showed you ND Max and eClif 2 on my timeline. Clearly, I know what I'm talking about. I need to stop. With the dropping. I'm going to drop too many F-bombs tonight. I hope to God that this... Y'all can't hear me curse when I'm hitting that button, right? Because I just can't help myself. I'm trying to keep this family friendly, okay? Trying. But I'm really at my limit with these stupid people and their PhDs and their... But so there's a chart. Okay. Let's just move on. So it's not just about these fools with their biofuel plans and their climate optimized routing of flights and avoiding ice supersaturated regions so they can make clouds when they want to and not. It's about them grids in the sky, and people say, "I don't mean all the time, Jim, how do they make the grids?" I mean, it's intentional. They're in front of the sun. I mean, son of a bitch, I see tic-tac-toe in my sky, and I go, but skyways. You don't know about skyways? I thought people knew about skyways because like that's a whole ass thing, like for real. Should I show you? I'll show you. We'll go back to the weather modification history timeline where all things are there, and we'll just go to that real quick. So what we're gonna do is we'll type in not control. We're gonna type in Chemtrail complaints. Nope. Son of a bitch. I'm just gonna go down here to 19. You know what? I should have sorted. It's just way too many things. It's just too thick. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna go to artificial clouds, and we're gonna go down near the bottom. Boom. And right here. Boom. So this is 1948 when the chemtrail problem started. Contrail complaints began nationwide. What the hell is skyways? We're going to get into skyways right now. What is a skyway? Well, turns out they've been a problem since 1958. Because, and Dominic, you still in chat? Because this is me and Dominic and I agree that this is our favorite newspaper article out of the entire volume we have at weathermodificationhistory.com. All of these are totally Dominic's work. I did not make these. These are freaking phenomenal. Big ups to Dominic Maramina for all his hard work. Jet Trails, Dim Sun, Palm Springs Gripes, 1958, December 6th. You know what I'm about to show, Storm Fury 101. You know what I'm about to show. Is it your favorite? Because it's my favorite. Let them know in chat. This is by far, you cannot get better than what I'm about to show you guys. I promise you this. This is priceless. All right, so from the Spokane Daily Chronicle, December 6, 1958. The contrails are not disappearing, but breaking down into a haze and creating a cloud-like appearance in the sky. With the unlimited expanse of barren, uninhabited land in the west, does such activity have to be centered over a resort area which is offering the visitor cloudless skies and unlimited sunshine? The Air Force, so far, is flabbergasted. Does this sound familiar to anybody today? Because history repeats itself, and those who forget the past are doomed to repeat it. And those who know the past are doomed to sit idly by and watch all the other idiots repeat it anyway. The Air Force so far is flabbergasted. No doubt in time it will recover its aplomb sufficiently to give Sonde the usual answer to all congressional inquiries that the matter will be investigated. The Air Force figures its jets couldn't blot out the sun short of a wing-to-wing mass flight like the European bombing raids of World War II. I love the way the guy that puts this. This is old versus just modern thinking. The guy they're talking about here, Sonde Cooper. There's two guys in here. Jimmy Cooper, manager, Palm Springs Chamber of Commerce, and their Democrat representative, California Sonde. Anyway, as you know, Cooper wired to Sonde, our entire economy is dependent on the tourist trade, which is predicated on our bright sunshine and warm climate. Recently, our sky has resembled a mob of exuberant sky riders performing an aerial circus. It's in this paragraph right here. You can download all these images. Like I said, everything on this website is open source. So what do you think the Air Force told them? You cannot make this up. You can't make this up. Let's go full screen on this one. Open image in a new tab. Jump to that new tab. Make it big for everybody at home to see. That's too big. Air Force gives village 2 choices. Live with the trails or move. I thought they were flabbergasted. I mean, damn. That was December 6, 1958. It took them less than a month later, a little more than a month, January 31st, 1959. Desert Sun. Air Force tells Palm Springs, off. If you don't like it, move the whole city. Period. And basically, he said, let's face it, man, said the crisp talking, star-studded general. Let's go right for it right here. You'll either have to live with the vapor trails or move the city of Palm Springs. The resort area, it appears, is known as the Palm Springs intersection. Skyway. It's the word of the day. Use it in your vernacular. Skyways. Highways in the sky. The resort area, it appears, is known as the Palm Springs intersection, the freeway interchange of all West Coast aerial traffic. So city officials and civic leaders, in an apparently unanimous unspoken agreement, decided a peaceful coexistence with the Air Force was the wisest course. Now, what do you think about that? There's way more to this. I could read it. The Air Force boo-boo. Discovered the first Air Force boo-boo. I love that part. Anyway, I won't drag this part out, but I wanted you guys to see this. Air Force gives them a choice. Deal with the skyway over your city or move, because there's going to be vapor trails, not chemtrails, vapor trails before the first article on chemtrails was in 1997 that I've been able to find. 1997, with a brief mention in 1996. Anyway, so before that, they were called vapor trails, smoke pollution of the sky, all kinds of things, but they were still blocking out the sun as early as 1958. You cannot argue with this. This is not, the Mandela effect, okay? This actually happened. So, where do these skyways come from? Well, it turns out, whenever they're routing all of these flights, that there are highways in the sky. And they're pretty visible. I mean, you can literally go to ADS-B Exchange and just see them. This is a freaking highway in the sky. Want to see it? It's right there. Big purple line going all the way back here. All these guys, they're on that skyway right now. Headed this way. Big one right there. All the way across. Comes down from Florida all the way up here to Phoenix. So from Phoenix to, let's see, we're going to say it's just generally in that area. You get the freaking point. And another one right here, all along the East Coast, running up and down this way. Over here on the West Coast, we have one that literally runs up and down the West Coast. Another, big time traffic route. And while we're at it, how about Palm Springs? Where were you at? Looking kind of nasty up in there. San Francisco. Highways everywhere. Big highways. People flying in. Planes lined up. Some of them have to circle. There are highways in the sky. You get the point. It's a flight corridor. Thank you very much. Same thing. Highways in the sky. You'll see the lines. Once you start to just look at this for more than a day, you'll see them every day, all day, every day. By the way, anything pink currently flying in the stratosphere. 45,000 feet. Just saying. That's already in the stratosphere. Mostly private planes, almost always private planes. If you see a private plane, that thing is flying in the stratosphere. Okay? Is at least near the tropopause, 45,000 feet. Almost all of the private planes. If you just zoom out, you look, it's a private plane pink, private plane pink, private plane pink. They're always freaking flying at, 45,000. This one's at 45,275 feet. There you go. So, what was I even bitching about? Oh, the skyways. So why do we have these skyways? Well, it's because we have supercomputers. These supercomputers, just like the Google AI, are controlled by what is my daughter doing? Hi, Dad. Hi, Sea Bear. Get out of my chat room. I'm cursing and you got me. You got me, Caroline. Good job. Total mind shutdown right there. Just like that. So they have this thing called the next generation transportation system. Similar to Eurocontrol, these skyways, or as Diana just said, spyways, they're controlled by supercomputers. And these supercomputers pretty much tell the planes where to fly, when to fly, and how to fly. The reason it's important to note this, the how to fly part, is that these air transportation systems have subsystems. And I was going to go through all this. I'm not really going to, but anyway, I got a little map. What is implemented capabilities of the FAA's next gen transportation system currently today. Nice little map right here showing air route traffic control centers, air traffic control towers, where the terminal radars are, the airports, metroplexes, terminal radar approach centers, and other facilities. And you can go through all over and see that's the next generation transportation system right there. And a lot of the times you heard about in the recent past of airport shutdowns due to security problems or software glitches, it's because they've been implementing this next gen transportation system to replace the older systems. But regardless, once the pilot takes off, they pretty much just slap it on cruise control, because they're going to tell the plane where to fly, how to fly, and all of that. They take off, they land. Why do I know this? Because check this out right here. They have something called the Aviation Environment Design Tool. It is part of the next gen transportation system. It is part of what is routing the flight, and they are making decisions about how to control the environment and how much fuel to burn at what altitude, and all of these things are decided by these types of programs. Does that make sense? So, AEDT is a software that models aircraft performance in space and time, and to estimate fuel consumption, emissions, noise, and air quality consequences. AEDT is a comprehensive tool that provides information to FAA stakeholders on each of the specific environmental impacts. If you think contrail formation isn't in there, then you're crazy, because that is what they're doing with the Eurocontrol and the contrail, network that they're building. This thing that we talked about earlier, Contrail Net, about the Contrail Cirrus and Prediction Tool, all of these are in systems already. They're already in these flight routing supercomputers, artificial intelligence controlled mofos. Did you forget about Google and Bill Gates? I'm just trying to summarize here. These programs are real. In fact, I even have an entire playlist on just the AEDT that I made in October of 2022, where you can see, actually how the program works. I mean, literally showing you user interface introduction, generating layers to find metric results, all that stuff. But, they could tell you themselves.
The aviation sector evolved in the 1990s and 2000s. FAA realized there was a need for a different capability, a capability to evaluate
to help with your new
environmental interdependencies, to be able to look at trade-offs.
Thank you so much, Up in CT. Love you, girl. Girl, I remember. I said bro one time, and she was like, no, stop.
Across the environmental domain.
In the past, there had been 5 separate tools to figure out the environmental consequences of noise, emissions, and fuel burn on various scales.
But the reality is none of these effects are standalone. They're all interrelated.
AEDT, or the Aviation Environmental Design Tool, is the first software tool of its type.
AEDT is a Federal Aviation Administration next-gen software tool that we use to analyze.
I think I proved my point. It's part of next gen. It's about controlling the freaking climate. And their really corny music in the back probably is going to give me some kind of like copyright claim. Who knows? But it was produced by the government, the James A. Volt Transportation Center. So I'm going to say fair use. I'm just criticizing this. I'm showing this to you guys. And they can kiss my ass. So that is that, and that is that. And the reason all this matters is because they're currently burning outrageous amounts of fuel at 1.3 million barrels of jet fuel in just America in 2021. 1.53 million barrels of jet fuel per day. Nobody is willing to talk about how many metals, how much soot, how much graphene, how many clouds filled with soot, graphene, all those metals, sulfuric acid, acid rain, effects on ozone, because all of these have ended up in the stratosphere. We have proof that they've ended up in the stratosphere. It doesn't just stay in the troposphere. What do you think they want it to just stay in the troposphere? Like that's actually going to happen? Back on Cirrus Clouds Matter. Last point I'm going to make. Jet exhaust in the stratosphere. Though airborne, black carbon is known to dissipate and settle down in a few months under the influence of rain and wind and is unlikely to travel upwards of 4 kilometers. However, a group of scientists, including from the Indian Institute of Science and ISRO Vikram Sarabhi Space Center, say they now have evidence of such particles existing up to 18 kilometers in the stratosphere, and there are about 10,000 black carbon particles for every cubic centimeter. Given the shape and location of these particles, they argue it could only derive from emissions from aviation fuel. So the black carbon, the graphene, the metals, the sulfuric acid, the sulfur dioxide, all of the chemicals are migrating into the stratosphere up to 18 kilometers. Wondering how high that is? That's pretty darn high, considering that the edge of the troposphere is typically 12 kilometers, and the stratosphere basically ranges from 12 to 50 kilometers. 18 kilometers is pretty much in the ozone layer. I rest my case. So they made it very clear that, they're concerned about clouds at night, and they want to be able to control them. So they want to build an observational network so that they can make their grids by day. They don't want the clouds to go away. They're basically saying, you. They don't care what you got to say. They don't care that you don't like the fact that since 1958, planes have been blocking out the sun. They do not care because At the end of the day, the new Green Deal, New World Order want their CO2, trap and their carbon credits and carbon offsets. That's why they're talking about non-CO2 emissions, because that way they can divide it out and separate it and say, well, yes, airplanes emit CO2, but on the other hand, we are doing all of these things to offset the CO2 coming out of planes. So really, if you want to know what's going on here, this is about greenwashing the airline industry. This is about offsetting the CO2 bill that they should be paying if they're going to comply with the green agenda by saying, you owe us carbon credits because we cooled the planet with our geoengineering program to make clouds by day and none by night. That is intentional. That is not accidental geoengineering. That is not just climate offsetting or climate mitigation or anything else one of you PhD having what want to call it. That is intentional geoengineering. End of story. Drop the mic. So I hope that this has been an educational video, because for a very long time they've been doing this. They've been trying to control the clouds. And I don't think that people really want to wrap their head around how big this problem is. And tonight we just focused on commercial aviation and the governing bodies of it, along with Google and Bill Gates and all the scientists doing contrail control for the purpose of geoengineering the planet, using jet fuel and artificial intelligence and supercomputers to route the flights to make the grids with the skyways. Skynet is real. Graphene bombs on your blood-brain barrier, brought to you by the jet fuel industry and the commercial aviation sector. And none of what we talked about tonight has anything to do with the military, let alone the CIA. That's a story for another day. So I hope that you found this video informational. I hope that you'll share this with other people. I hope that people will start to widen the discussion about these plane farts, these chemtrails, these artificial clouds, because hashtag cirrus clouds matter. And people are going to continue to try to dodge and skirt and say it's just condensation. It's not a big deal. If it wasn't such a big deal, then why is Bill Gates and Google and all the scientists and all the government agencies of the world trying to figure out how to geoengineer their way out of their carbon taxes to get their carbon credits? You can't bullshit a bullshitter. You cannot greenwash your way out of this one. We got the receipts. And now you know, and knowing is half the battle. With information comes power, and with power comes great responsibility. So please use the information that I provided tonight to attack ideas, not people. Love you guys, mean it. If the video resonates with you, leave me a comment, because I love hearing from y'all. First time here, be sure to subscribe and click the bell. Yeah! Remember, it would be impossible for me to do this without your support, so please join my Patreon or buy me a coffee on PayPal. And always, attack ideas, not people.